What's good, people? Welcome back to a first episode, actually. I was going to say another episode, but first episode of me vibe coding my first app. And what this app slash website is going to do is basically allow indie devs to talk to and query um, Steam data, basically. So it's a conversational analytics tool. In short, and for me, why I'm building it is because I am a program manager in data analytics and I work in the gaming industry. And for me, when I'm working on different projects, when we're shipping different data products, something that I've been thinking of recent is like a lot of the time when people actually receive data, they have lots of questions. And if they can just actually talk to the data, those questions will be answered. So that's where I see data going. I feel like people are going to want dashboards, obviously, of course. It's good to get your visuals, good to get your graphs, but people also want to be able to just ask loads of questions without actually booking a meeting with someone. So that's what led me to create this website and, yeah, just see how well this actually plays out in a real life setting. So, yeah, enough of that. Let's dive straight into it. And I've been working on this for probably 2 weeks now. Where I'm at today, the website is up and running, yes. Well, not up and running, sorry. It's on a local host right now, just in a test environment, if you want to call it that. And yeah, the chat is working, the chat I'm trying to refine, and that's pretty much it. And I have the data as well. So what we're doing today is we are going to, first and foremostly, shave our data. I'm not going to obviously type this into my prompt, but yeah, I've got too much data. I'm using Postgres to store the data. The data is quite bloated, so I've got my raw data that's coming. I've got 77,000 games. But when I'm enriching the data and trying to add like new layers of data onto the game, so initially, obviously, you have your app ID and your game name. Those are like your like primary indicators of what a game is. And then when I'm trying to actually expand the data set for things like hours played, how many people own it, there are certain data points that I have to pull from different places. And that's where it gets technical in the sense that you can't always match one for one all your data. So what you're seeing right here is basically my data points that I have and the coverage that I have for them. My high coverage, obviously your app ID, name, developer, publisher, these are good data points, but again, they only tell you so much, right? But with them only telling you so much, you have to kind of be smart with the data and figure out how to actually make this tell a story. So let me not say they only tell you so much. They tell you so much, but it depends how you twist and wrangle this data to make it actually make sense for decision making. Then you've got your medium coverage as well. So what I've asked Claude is basically, firstly, give me my data points and give me the coverage that I have for them. And I always do this because going to Postgres and checking the actual schema, Postgres is so slow. It's always quicker for me to just ask Claude, can you just remind me of my data points? With my high and medium coverage, I'm going to base my website on these for now. It's obviously going to expand as I go along, like especially when like real people start to use it. I'm going to listen to feedback, understand what people want. But firstly, I'm only going to just keep it here. I'm trying to be as lean as possible. I think I got too excited at the beginning. I just wanted every data point. I wanted it to be a super app. But what I've done is I've basically just narrowed it down to these data points, and I've basically created some use cases for these data points. So I've asked Claude, with these data points to hand, what would some use cases be? So here are 5 use cases. I'm making sure I'm talking to Claude as well as ChatGPT to understand if I get any different responses. So use case number 1, pricing strategy optimizer. So if somebody's making a roguelike game, so what shall I price that at? So it's going to obviously pick up the tags, try to find the roguelike game tags, pick up the ratings, so understand if this is a good game, then figure out how many people own it, and then the price and category. So I guess with those data points, it's like if somebody firstly, is it tagged as road game? Yes. So this is the game that you're looking for. Secondly, what's the ratings? Is it good? Do people like it? Yes. Thirdly, how many people have this? Is this a good number? Me as an indie developer, am I aiming for numbers within that area? And thirdly, okay, cool. Now we have those games and we can figure out how many people own them. What's the general pricing like? What's the average pricing like? So then that will allow an indie developer to basically come and say, okay, do you know what? Given everything that we've seen in the market, I think we can start at X price. So which I think is good. I think this is useful information to know at your fingertips. I think it's valuable information. It will allow people to not make decisions because you don't want to spend months and years creating a game and you kind of stumble over the last bits of decision making, which are very crucial as well. Pricing is very key. Other bits that I might have basically been able to actually allow indie developers are also key to actually making sure the game that you've built, although people haven't seen it yet, gets the traction and gets the attention that it needs, basically. You don't want to stumble over a thing like pricing. Second thing is genre and tags, market analysis. So example question would be, is the roguelike market saturated? And what tags correlate with success? So yeah, you get the drift anyway, competitive benchmarking, all that stuff. And to me, now I'm comfortable to know that, okay, cool. Within the data points that I have, I can provide value. That's all we're here to do. We're only here to provide value. And if we can actually allow indie developers to come on and get value from the tool, then the job is done, innit? So yeah, that's where we're at right now. So I'm just talking, but let's actually get to it. So what do I want to say to Claude now? Okay. I want to be very specific because the way I've made this, the way I've prompted this has been so messy. Again, this is just a learning, and I'm trying to basically build out like a scalable framework. So I'm going to pick up all my learnings, pick up all like the things that I did well or wrong. But the more and more I do this, the quicker I can make apps. Once I kind of build a solid foundation of how to actually get something up and running, I'm just going to hit the ground runner. So with my high and medium coverage data points, can you make a script to update the database to update the database to keep all columns within the high and medium coverage data points. This doesn't really make sense, but yeah, hopefully Claude gets it. With my high and medium coverage data points, can you make a script to update the database to keep all columns within the high and medium coverage sections with the data points that are in the low coverage section? Can you go ahead and remove these? Now I'm wondering if the script, no, I have an enrichment script. I'll update the enrichment script. Okay, hit run. Let's go. See what happens. Concocting. Yes. I know I should do allow all. People usually do allow all, but sometimes I actually like to read before I do allow all, or before Claude takes an action, because it might say something and it moves too fast sometimes. Like, it gets too excited. So I just like to actually have a look at what it wants to do before I actually say allow all, because, for instance, it might do this, then it might basically think, oh yeah, here's another script has to run that will basically help you out. And it's just like, I didn't ask for that right now, so let's just stick to this one task and then we can take it from there. Keeping 22 columns, high, medium. So app name, app ID, name, developer, publisher, price, category, total owners, positive reviews, rate percentage, review category, genre, stop tags. Great. I don't need to create that. I'll read that as well. But yeah. Cool. Run. Yep. Let's go. Here's where I become a coder. Command V. Bow. No. What's it saying? Can't open file. Clean up low coverage. My face is in the way. Let me move it. No such file. What does that mean? Right, cool. As you do in vibe coding land, you copy the errors right back into the chat. But the difference between, I guess, someone that generally is not caring about what's going on and just copies and runs and takes what it spits back and just puts it back in the terminal is, I would advise, just have a read. Like, honestly, even if you don't remember it there and then, like, just read. You're slowly going to build up your understanding of what's going on. And like everything, context is key. So just always read as much as you can. It's not saying things for no reason. Just try and understand what's going on. Yeah. So the script is in PlayIntel directory. Let me run the correct path. Done. Database cleaned up successfully. Before you had 37 columns and after you've got 22. Okay, cool. High, low. Your database is now leaner. That's what I wanted. I just wanted a lean database. Okay, cool. You want me to proceed with creating and populating the aggregate tables? Yes. Before you do this, what aggregate tables? I know it's up there, but I just want it to actually be sure that what it's creating, we both understand what it's creating. So before you do this, which aggregate tables are you going to create and what sort of problems do they solve for indie developers? Okay, cool. Does that question make sense? Yes, before you do this, which aggregate tables are you going to create and what sort of problems do they solve for indie developers? I think that makes sense as a question. Like, what would the table allow me to do as an indie developer, basically? Okay, cool. Aggregate 1, so I want to delete all my tables, like all my aggregates right now. I want to delete them, start again. I just feel like I've gone so round and round and round the houses. Okay, cool. There's a few aggregate tables. 8 aggregate tables. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Let's have a read of what's going on here. All right. Price tier stats. So what should I price the game at? Stats by price tier. Shows average owners, success rates. Okay. Sample insights. Games priced at $20 to $30 average, 440 owners versus blah blah blah. Okay, cool. Aggregate tags. Stats for all 448 Steam tags. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I like that. Roguelite has 300. Okay, cool. But 5.26% of the games hit. Okay. This is good data. This is good data. Apps genre. What realistic for my game? What does success look like? All right, cool. Let's do that. Let's run it. Okay, cool. Let's do this. Okay, cool. Please go ahead and make these tables. And if you're wondering why I'm saying please, because when these robots decide to take over, they're going to remember the man that were nice, I'll be honest. You have to be nice to everybody, you know. AI is real, bruv. All aggregate tables created. Lovely. Okay. Premium. Key insights now available. Okay, cool. Before this video ends, what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace my data source. So my data source is now these aggregate tables. Then I'm going to run a test. Then that's that. I just want to see how it is. The test can be shit. Who knows? But I just want to make sure like we get to the end of this. This is good enough. Okay, perfect. Now I want. So the website's called PlayIntel, by the way. I want you to update the source sorry, I'm using my trackpad. Source data for PlayIntel with the new aggregate tables. Can you please drop the previously created aggregate tables, aggregate tables. The only source, and it's named the AI Alex, but I'm going to change it. The only source that Alex, the only data source, okay. No, let me not do that because I don't know if it's also using the raw as well. Probably isn't, but I don't want to mess things up. So let me just tell it to drop. Okay, I want you to update the source data for PlayIntel with the new aggregate tables. Can you please drop the previously created aggregate tables? PlayIntel should use the new tables as the data source. Just to be clear, brother. Mr. Cloud. Now I understand the structure. The get database schema function needs to be updated. Remove references to the dropped low coverage columns. Add the new aggregate tables. Let me check if there are any old aggregate tables that need to be dropped. Update tools, update database get schema. Okay, cool. Yeah, because you need to change that. So the database get schema is the script that communicates between the website and Postgres. Okay, remove drop columns aggregate table. Create SQL script to drop any old aggregate tables if they exist. Verify aggregate tables are still accessible from the backend. Okay. This is the part I don't read. I mean, I can. And again, I would also advise, if you've got time, definitely read it. Right now, I do not have too much time. But yeah, just have a skim over what's actually going on. So the red is the old stuff that's probably being deleted, and the green is the new stuff. So primary data table, high coverage, 9%. Let's go all of this. Price, USD initial price, total owners. Alright, that doesn't look right. Okay, cool. Created at, okay, cool. Price USD, okay, cool. I'm gonna say, because you can't be deleting my price. So we're gonna have price. Then also what I like to do as well, because sometimes it returns like a lot of code, like the lines are million lines for its code. I like to go back and just basically ask it, do you feel like the code that you've written is efficient? Again, if you're an engineer, this is perfect for you, because especially an engineering manager, because that's your job on a day-to-day, and you need to basically speak to your engineers and ask them if they are writing code in an efficient way. Is your runtime optimized? All of this stuff. And why I say if you're an engineering manager, because likelihood you would have a framework. And if you have those frameworks to hand, chuck them into ChatGPT, into Claude, and let Claude work off your framework. So I think the initial thing you need to do is your MD file before you start your project. If you add your framework of like how you test, how you optimize, all of that stuff, then you'll get much better results. you would be able to build much quicker. But again, for someone like me, I'm just understanding what I understand. I understand data, so that's as much as I can do. I can create or tell Claude to follow certain structures that are good for, like, let's say, enterprise data, just to keep a good standard of delivery, and also would allow me to ensure that what I am creating is usable, really, from a data perspective. So, yeah, in short, use your profession, and make sure you have your frameworks in place to actually ensure Claude is building what you've asked. Outdated to-dos, create SQL script, old legacy aggregate tables, test, PlayIntel backend. All right, cool. Summary, PlayIntel's updated, new user aggregate tables, change made. Okay. They get Python schema. It's changed the backend. Are you sure? So do I need to run anything? Current database structure. PlayIntel backend will now use the pre-aggregated tables for faster query responses and common in developer strategy. Okay, cool. Okay, great. Just to confirm, if I go to the website now and query, and ask Alex a question, would it use the new tables to respond? Yes, it should. The database gets, prefer aggregate tables for common questions. Okay, what's the average express tier, blah, blah, blah. Okay, when you ask a question, Claude receives the schema as context. It should generate SQL. Sorry, my face in the way. That aggregates tables for faster pre-computed answer. To test it, try asking questions like, what's success rate? What is the success rate for indie games? Okay. The backend needs to be restarted to pick up the schema changes. If it's already running, restart it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You have to check these things because they'll tell you it's done, and it's like, if you actually don't know too much about like web development or Python or anything, you'd be like, okay, cool, it's done. But just this little reset here would make all the difference. Okay, we'll watch out for changes directories. It should reference aggregate star table instead of always querying fat game metrics. Does fat game metrics still exist? Would I need that? Yes, because it's a primary source. Okay, cool. That get derived from. Alright, what we want to do now is go to PlayIntel. .517 local host. Local host. Okay, cool. Site can't be reached. Need to reset it properly. The site can't be reached. All right, this question. I'm just gonna test the chat properly. Cool, but what is? Yeah, okay, cool. All right, go to the bottom. Try accessing it now. Perfect, we're live. So this is PlayIntel's current front end. Looks basic AF, but we haven't moved on to the front end design yet, which is going to be the next action. My next steps are front end design. Then I'm going to go back to make sure that the chat is actually working as I want it to work. But front end design mainly because I want something to get excited about. I want to see it look real and live. Then I'm going to go fix the back end, then maybe send it out to a few people, let them query it again, come back with some information, then fix it further, then yeah, hopefully he's in a good position. The FPS niche. Okay. Let's see what happens. Sure, let me take a look at it. So that's one thing I don't like. Sure, let me take a look at the data for you. Like, it's not a real response in the sense that from a chatbot or from an AI, I don't want it to basically reveal that. It might sound all right, actually. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but I just don't like that. The FPS genre on Steam is quite saturated with 3,800 games that get currently available. The average FPS game has around 500,000 owners and 70% rating. However, success rate for reaching 100k owners is just 24.9%. So do you know what? The analysis is definitely much better because from what I had before, it was a bit annoying. So I'm giving it some marks on the analysis right now. The analysis is definitely much better. In terms of tags that perform best, FPS tag itself is obviously the most popular. With that many games using it, the key thing to focus on would be emphasizing what makes your FPS unique and stand out, ensuring your game has solid rating, optimizing your visibility through the rich tags. Okay, cool. Through the right tags, sorry. Competition is fierce, but with the right strategy, you can find success in this crowded genre. Let me know if you have any other questions, and it gives you a little table, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. I don't mind that. I think it's got good analysis, good conversation. Again, like I said, I'm going to train the AI on a few books around just indie game developing, then also data analysis as well. So I want it to be very sharp in its response. But for now, this is good. Then also last thing, it's always been given these tables, and I don't like these tables. I do, but not for every answer. It doesn't make sense sometimes. So yeah, that's where we're at today. Thank you so much. That was nearly half an hour of some dev on the website. We've made progress, and that's what's important. Just try and make as much progress as you can every day. And yeah, man. Next steps, like I said. So next steps, I'm going to work on the front end, make this more nice, just give it a nice fancy front end. Then retrain the model on some new information. Like I said, some books around data analysis and game design. Then the last step is just going to be all the little bits of sessions, login details, all these kind of tiny bits that make a website actually a website. And that's it. So thanks for joining me here, and see you on the next one. Peace out.